Hey planty people, it's Krista with Botanical Bird, and this week I'm coming at you with new filming equipment. So for Christmas, it was kind of an awkward story. My boyfriend got me a really cool tripod set, and I think it might have a light with it, I'm not sure. But I accidentally had bought myself one before, like he didn't know about it. I bought myself one before, which is the one I'm testing out right now. And in my next video, I'll test out his. But he was really excited because he thought it'd be like the perfect gift because it would have been. But I accidentally got myself it earlier. And so, oops. But I'm sorry if the lighting is kind of funky. I think it has an LED light and it's just blinding me right now. But I think it will help produce videos with better lighting, especially if I'm filming later in the day, because this house is very dark and so it doesn't get a whole lot of natural light. It also has a cool microphone. I'll have to show you guys my setup after I decide what I want, and hopefully it will be kind of exciting to share. But this week, the actual topic, other than my cool new filming equipment, the actual topic is different benefits that plants bring into your home. So we think we care for plants, but there's ways that plants care for us too. And I don't know how factual these are. I found them on a website, and a couple of them did vaguely reference studies, but I think a lot of it's kind of just like, oh yeah, that makes sense, or kind of like we want it to be true. And even if it's like a placebo effect, like, oh, I think these plants are good for me and therefore they are, if they still have positive benefits in our lives, who's to say that's bad, you know? Just to say, like, I haven't super vetted these facts. I did take out one about improving air quality because I've mentioned this in a previous video of debunking planty myths. There's this old NASA study that proved that plants significantly clear the VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, from the air. And it's true that they do clean it, but not at a rate that makes much of a difference. Like opening a window does that a lot more efficiently and effectively than having plants. So not to say that plants don't clean the air, but just not at a rate that really makes a big difference for us. So I took that away, and I took out some of the examples that I didn't really know if they were actually founded or not in truth. But I got this information from EcoWatch, which is a website, and the article was written by Karen Reed. So Karen Reed, thank you for the information. So the first one is that plants can improve our mental health. There was mention of a UK research study that showed that people with plants self-reported that they were happier than people without plants. They mentioned the idea that plants kind of set the calming mood. Like, I know personally it's easy for me to get caught up in my day-to-day busy life, and work can be really stressful, but plants don't give a crap. Like they will continue to grow whether or not you're having a bad day. Sometimes having that constant in your life can help put maybe the other stressors in life in perspective, and maybe some of that tranquility will rub off on us. That's the hope, right? Another idea under this category is that they add oxygen to the air. So I don't know if this is the same sort of thing as when they're cleaning the air, of if it's at a high enough rate that we notice it, but we know that plants take in our carbon dioxide, or just carbon dioxide in general, and they give off oxygen. So the idea is that if your brain gets more oxygen, then your body works more effectively, and your brain can give off the appropriate hormones that it's supposed to. So like my brain is a brain with anxiety, and so there's like a chemical imbalance, and hopefully plants can help with that, where they add more oxygen so my brain can get what it needs, so then it can give me what I need. So that's the first idea, that plants can improve our mental health. The second idea is that plants improve our immune system, and this is linked with the idea that they improve our mental health. So I was trying to think this one through, and it's one of those that I think makes sense, but once again, I'm not sure if there have been, I'm sure there have been studies. I did not read these studies. So if our mental health is improved, right, you're happier, you're able to get better sleep, and while you're sleeping, your body can do all of those great repairs that it needs to do, because sleep is the great equalizer. And so your immune system can repair or fight off any germs, hopefully, because you're getting a higher quality sleep, because your mood is improved. It also mentioned that plants give off VOCs, which are the volatile organic compounds that reduce stress. And I tried to do a little bit more digging on this because I wasn't so sure. It mentioned the VOC VOC specifically of phytoncides, if I'm saying that correctly. And I did read a quick headline, and once again, I didn't read the full article, of rats that were exposed to phytoncides and how they were introduced to some sort of stressor, and then the rats that were exposed to plants and this specific VOC, their stress levels, like their heart rate, and I think even their blood pressure decreased. And so I think it's mostly safe to say that that's accurate. The third idea is that plants can improve your relationship. And this one I think is definitely subjective. I'm not going to disagree with it. I just don't know if it's something that's been measured. So the website mentioned that when you bring plants into your home, it increases compassion because you're caring for them, you're trying to make sure that they stay happy, and you kind of cultivate that give and take with your plants, because if you give them the care that they need, they will reward you with a beautiful foliage or flowers or things like that. And that sort of compassion can transfer to your other relationships in life. And I feel like that's a thing, right? I don't know if everyone feels that way, but hopefully. Another idea that the website mentions is that your productivity can increase. And there have been studies about this. I was listening to a study that I think was mentioned on the podcast Bloom and Grow. I think it's Bloom and Grow Radio with Maria. And they were talking about a study that researched people in hospitals. And I don't know if they were measuring if their mood would improve with random decorations like books or paintings or plants. And it did show that I think it was that any sort of decoration or any sort of splash of color did improve mood. So it didn't have to be plants, but plants were one of the things that did increase people's moods. With that idea, whenever you're personalizing a space or adding color, it can increase your productivity because you feel more at ease. So otherwise, I guess that the space is supposed to kind of look dull, but when you add plants or other personalized items into your space, you can be more focused. Something that goes hand in hand with that is improved learning. So the website mentioned that while you're able to focus more, you are more readily available to learn new things. So that's good news for anyone still in school, or anyone who's going back to school, or anyone who's working from home right now with Rona. I know that a lot of us are working from home. So that's good. Add some plants to your space if you feel like you're struggling. And the last point that the website made was that they can add humidity to your home. And I feel like this is the most straightforward one, because plant lovers know that if you have plants that love humidity, one of the things that you can do to increase the humidity in their environment is to group them together. And that's because of a process called transpiration, and it's kind of like sweating for plants. So plants soak up water through their roots, they take them up their stems into their leaves, and things like leaves and I think maybe even aerial roots will then kind of like sweat out extra water, and that gets evaporated into the air. And so that will increase the humidity in your home, which can make it easier for you to breathe, because dry air can be irritating to your vocal tract. And a lot of people will just put humidifiers in their home when they're sick. I personally have humidifiers in my home for plants, but I imagine that I'm also reaping the benefits. And even without the humidifiers, through transpiration, the humidity in our air is already being increased. I'm also making a game time decision here and want to add my own planty pros. These are definitely not proven by science, but they're just things that I feel to be true based on my experience with caring for plants. I feel like my plants help my mental health. I have dealt with anxiety since I was in the 3rd grade, I think is when I was diagnosed. And I think my plants really give me something to do. They keep me busy, and they kind of feed my introverted side. So on the weekends when I don't have as much like structured time, sometimes I feel more anxious because there's not like, I'm not going. And so my brain has the chance to wander and to worry and to perseverate. But if I'm caring for my plants, it's not that I really have to focus on them, but it gives me something to do while I'm still relaxing, still vegging out on the weekend, but doing something productive. And so I feel like that's really helpful for me. And it's kind of like self-care because it's very repetitive. Like you're just checking plants, watering them on the weekend. If it's the right time, you might be fertilizing them. I might be trimming them if I see something needs help, or refilling their pebble trays. But whatever it is, I feel like it helps me take care of me while I take care of my plants. You know what I mean? Another one is I think they help me connect with others. There is a whole plant community out there. When you realize that some of your friends are also planty people, it brings you that much closer together, which is really cool. Or maybe you're connecting with people that you maybe wouldn't have met before through plant pages, or maybe you find out someone at work who was in a different department or something also likes plants. I think it's a really great way to meet other people who are like-minded. Having plants has given me a great hobby. And yes, I do spend a lot of money on plants, but you don't have to. I made a video about several different planty activities that don't involve buying more plants. It can fill up time if you're feeling bored. Sometimes it gets me out of a bad mood if I take care of something else. I also just love when people come into my home for the first time and they freak out. Like I tell people that I'm a plant person if they ask or if it comes up, but I think maybe the level of plant person doesn't come across until they see all the plants I have and they're like, wow, like you're crazy. I really like being able to share my plants with other people. It's not that I'm always giving away my plants because I tend to be kind of protective over them, but just being able to share the experience, and when people come over, just kind of inviting them into my space. And I think it's just a calming place to be. I also think, and this might be kind of shallow, but I think one of the pros that I really have liked is that plants decorate a space really, really well. I think that when you find that perfect like plant pot combo or a perfect space that mixes aesthetics really well with what the plant needs, it just gives you this amazing feeling. And every time you see that plant, you're like, I did that. Plants can make a place look really sleek and modern, or like a huge jungle bungalow, you know? Aesthetics also do come into play. While maybe they're not as important, I do find that to be a pro in my planting experience. So if you have any questions about any of the facts that I mentioned, please put them in the comments below. Or if you have any of your own planty pros to add, please also put those in the comments. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Botanical Bird, and bird has a U in it, not an I, and follow my planty Instagram, which is at botanical_bird. And remember, I'm rooting for you. Bye.